Welcome back to the What's Up Eddie channel, Divine Therapy Sessions, and of course, I'm the one and only Eddie. So glad to have you guys back, and these are my Divine Therapy Sessions. And today, we got a new category. This series of videos is going to be about relationships. And yeah, you guys, it's going to be everything. Stances that we take on relationships, you know, an actual, like, how, like, when we're in love, advice for that, for your significant other. Also relationships and friends, with your friends, as well as family. I'm gonna put it all out there, and I'm gonna give what I feel is my truth and what I've learned on my road. And honestly, quite frankly, it's been a rough ride. I've seen a lot of what I don't want, and I've seen a lot of what I do like. And you know, it's like a constant battle, and you know, whether you want to talk about boundaries, whether that's, you know, you evolving and then you're not with the person that you're supposed to be with, and whether we're talking about twin flames, soulmates, whatever you guys believe in. But I'm going to dive into it all. But today's video, I want to talk about where I'm at right now, right? So, and it is my channel, right? Eddie Spaghetti's channel. So right now I'm in the process of going through breakup. Whew. Man. So it's difficult, right? Like, we all been through a breakup. It's like, you know, what you want to do is ball up in a corner and or in your bed, eat all the most terrible foods in the world, and just sit there and you know, be in the fetal position and not really do anything. And you know, it's different for, I know that, like, well, it's a little different for me. Watch, everyone does their own little thing when they break up, right? The thing about grieving is that we're gonna have to be alone in it, because we are by ourselves, right? And from what I find is that even when you distract yourself, which is what you should do, is distract yourself. That's a portion of it, right? Because you don't want to sit in toxic energy like depression. And the thing too is, yeah, you want to recognize how you feel about stuff, right? So I feel like there's a series of events that happen after you break up. You go through, it's kind of like the stages of grief, right? Yeah, the stages of grief. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't know why I couldn't get that out. You go through, like, your anger portion of it, where you're blaming the other person. Then you go through denial phase, and then you go through the phase of, like, you want to call them back, or maybe it can work even though you know it can't. And I'm not going to get into details right now, but I do want to. I'm going to, in videos in the future, about this stuff. But so the overall idea of breakup, so, like, for me right now, I'm going through the stage of, like, where I'm doing the work that I have to do, right? I've written about it. I've acknowledged my part in it, right? And then, because that's none of my business anymore to know what the other person's doing. I know what they didn't do for me. That's why we're not together. There's a reason why, right? There's a lot of reasons. And I feel like a lot of the times, it's funny because in relationships, we get into a field of view of like the I don't know, like the executioner or the judge and jury, right? I'm like finding all this evidence as to why she's not a good person, or she's finding a whole bunch of evidence and convincing me, and I'm trying to convince her of the same thing. It's ridiculous. And you know, the matters of the heart, you can have all the greatest advice in the world, but it's still very difficult, right? Like, so this is where I find myself. I know that I can't be with this person, right? And I have a very heavy heart because I fell in love with this person. It's been a person I've been with for a long time. And unfortunately, when two people find each other and they haven't thoroughly healed the wounds of their past, that stuff's going to play effect in the present. And the unfortunate part is when you have two intelligent people, it's a lot harder because it gets more complicated. And it's sad and crazy too, because it's like a situation where you're like trying to hide who you are because you're too afraid that the other person won't love you, and also try to manipulate the person into believing that you're something that you're not. That is one of the most difficult things that you have to do, but it's like a weird power struggle. And if you're in a relationship like that, you don't need to be in it. But I've found when you've given more time to a relationship, especially to people who don't want to be with you, and you like fall in love with that person, it's difficult, man. It's super difficult because you start to develop feelings, and you start feeling bad because you realize that, like, and two, you got to remember at the end of the day, it's all attraction. You guys are vibrating at the same energies, right? So like if that person's vibrating at a certain energy, so am I, right? Or so are you, the viewer. And I think what's most difficult about the whole thing is that, like, I care about that person, and I want that person to succeed, but at this point in my life, I know that there's nothing that I can do anymore. That person has to go figure out their own thing, because I would be wasting my own time, also hurting myself, because I'm expecting something that cannot be given to me, and it has not been given to me in a very long time. So some cool advice that I have during this time period is don't jump into the next thing. Oh man, I've been notorious, you guys, notorious. I am a notorious what do they call that? Rebounder, man, a rebounder. And oh man, I used to even have, you guys, this is so bad, I used to have that nasty mentality that most men adopt. Hey, as long as you get into the next one, and you guys know what I mean by get into the next one, right? You're going to forget about the last one. And we as men give each other that dumb advice. Oh my God, you guys, do not follow that advice. It is the worst thing that you can do. You're bringing all your toxic stuff into the next person. They don't deserve that. They don't deserve it. So I know at this point, man, I love this whole spiritual awakening thing, man. It sucks sometimes, don't get me wrong, man. It's not all freaking happy rainbows. I'm smiling all stupid and stuff, like walking around like the world's great, right? It is great, but there is such thing as like depression and feeling down, heavy-hearted, burdened, stressed, worried. This is some normal stuff, right? But the worst thing that you can go do is jump into another relationship when you haven't even healed from the last one. You guys, I've done this in every relationship I've been in up to this point. So I don't have all the answers too, right? And when it's matters of the heart, it's real hard. I'll say this. It not jumping into the next thing has made it easier for me to evaluate what I've done. Like I've told you before in the beginning of this video, evaluate myself, evaluate the other person, evaluate what it is that I want from the next person, but most importantly, what it is that I want from myself. Why did I put myself through that situation for so long? These are a lot of the questions that I'm asking myself, right? So it's a extensive reevaluating of the whole situation, and also a reevaluation of myself, and picking up the bar, man, my standards, picking up that bar of like, and I'm not talking about looks, I'm talking about character, I'm talking about the way that people should treat you, boundaries. So that's the first thing. Don't jump into the next relationship, because you're only bringing all that baggage into the next person, and literally everything that you have. So for me, if it's infidelity, not trusting, that next person's getting it. Like, because I haven't sat down and really evaluated and let go of it, right? And I think the second thing is time. Like, time does heal. And I believe that, like, time given to yourself, right? Like, not given to other people, like really dating yourself, right? Like enjoying the things that because you know, relationships are something that happen like in our life, but like we come into this world alone, right? So to start adopting the things that you enjoy about yourself. What, like, I know sometimes I get, not sometimes, most of the time I get lost into relationships, right? So like for me, it's like getting back to this. So why do we do that as people? Like we stop doing the things that we love because we want to just be so immersed in someone else's life. It's super codependent, right? Like I'm trying to get away from that. I don't even want to be a part of that anymore. I don't want to have to feel like I need someone or someone to feel like they need me. You know, I want to add to their life, uplift their lives, motivate them. If you're going into a relationship and you're not motivating each other, I feel like it's a codependency there. And yeah, how could it not be codependent when I have codependency issues, right? Already with my alcoholism, drug addiction, and that kind of such. So yeah, man, time for yourself, date yourself, right? Get to know yourself again. And for me, is like the outlets, which is art, you know. I love these videos. I love helping the next person. This gets me away from myself too. This is an outlet. And you guys, outlets come in so many different fashions. Use your imagination, it's there. And I think the last thing is reaching out. You're gonna eventually have to reach out. And reach out to someone who is neutral. Someone who isn't gonna be against the other person. Like a lot of the times your family or friends that don't like that person, or it's not wise to go to those people, right? It's obvious because they have their own narrative. They have their own what is it? Where they want to manipulate the situation, so they want it to go more towards what they favor, right? So that doesn't make any sense. It's a conflict of interest, is what I'm trying to say. So you're gonna have to get advice, whether you want to go to a love therapist or a relationship therapist, or you talk to a friend who's intelligent and who has what you want, right? Don't go to a friend who's having issues with relationships too, and you guys are just shooting the shit with bad relationship advice, like toxic feeding toxic. That's like the worst thing you can do. Go to someone who's got a good relationship, something you can look at and be like, wow, that's something that I would cherish and I would want. You know, that's all I got, you guys, on this one. Expect a whole bunch more videos about this, you guys. I love you guys. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Make sure to subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. All right, guys. So glad to introduce this new section to you guys. Catch you guys in the next one.